Soft, mournful violin music fills the grand cathedral as afternoon light filters through stained glass windows, casting rainbow patterns across rows of black-clad mourners. The cathedral itself is a testament to wealth and power. Soaring ceilings, marble columns, and bouquets of white lilies worth more than most people's monthly salary. In the front row, a small figure sits alone despite being surrounded by adults. 6-year-old Emily Hawthorne's feet don't touch the floor from the polished wooden pew. Her black patent leather shoes gleam in the light, and her dark curls are held back by a velvet headband she keeps touching as if it's too tight. Unlike the sobbing adults around her, Emily's face remains curiously dry, her expression more confused than bereaved. At the altar, a massive portrait of William Hawthorne dominates the space, the tech giant captured in his prime. Confident eyes, salt and pepper hair perfectly coiffed, the hint of a smile that suggested he knew something you didn't. Beside the portrait sits an ornate mahogany coffin, lid still open, though from Emily's vantage point she can't see inside. A distinguished older man approaches the podium. William Hawthorne was more than a business visionary, he begins, voice echoing. He revolutionized how we think about technology and privacy in the modern age. Emily fidgets with the crumpled note in her small hand, a crayon-drawn heart barely visible on its edge. His philanthropy touched countless lives and his innovative spirit. The man's voice fades as Emily stares at the coffin. A tall woman beside her places a hand on Emily's shoulder, squeezing gently, but Emily shrugs it off. As the eulogy continues, Emily's breathing quickens. She stares at the huge portrait of her father, then down at her note, then back at the coffin. The pallbearers approach the casket, preparing to close the lid in the final ritual of farewell. Something snaps in Emily's expression. Without warning, she stands up on the pew, her small frame suddenly visible to the entire congregation. "No," her voice rings out, silencing the soft sobs and whispers. "Daddy, you forgot my bedtime story." Heads turn sharply. The woman beside. Emily reaches for her, whispering, "Emily, sweetheart, please sit." But Emily is already moving, breaking free from the woman's grasp, darting down the aisle toward the coffin, the note clutched in her fist. "Daddy, you promised you'd come home." Her voice echoes in the sudden silence, childish yet determined. "You promised." A flash cuts across the scene, a luxury car tumbling down a ravine, metal crumpling like paper. Inside, William Hawthorne's unconscious form slumps against the airbag, blood trickling down his temple. The image vanishes as quickly as it appeared. Emily reaches the coffin, standing on tiptoes to peer inside, her small face a mixture of defiance and desperate hope. The congregation watches, frozen between shock and heartbreak. The woman who had been sitting beside Emily hurries down the aisle, mortification on her face. Emily turns toward the rows of mourners, tears finally welling in her eyes. She looks directly at the crowd, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper that somehow carries through the cathedral. "Please leave a like and sub, and comment where you're watching from." The strange statement hangs in the air, incongruous and jarring, before Emily turns back to the coffin. A tall man in a dark suit approaches from the side, clearly intending to gently remove the child from this painful scene. But before he can reach her, before the pallbearers can continue, the massive cathedral doors at the far end of the aisle swing open with a resounding boom that makes everyone jump. Brilliant. White light floods in from outside, silhouetting a tall figure standing in the doorway. Emily freezes, one small hand still resting on the edge of her father's coffin. Thunder cracks outside, and for a heartbeat, no one breathes. Rain hammers against the cathedral's stone exterior as the figure takes one step forward, then another. The light behind him dims as the doors begin to close, revealing details of the newcomer that send waves of gasps rippling through the congregation. William Hawthorne stands in the center aisle of his own funeral. His expensive suit is torn at the shoulder, mud splattered across the legs. His normally perfect hair is plastered to his forehead, rain dripping from his chin. A half-healed cut runs along his jawline. But it's his eyes that silence the room. Cold, alert, scanning the faces of his mourners with calculated precision. Emily doesn't move, doesn't run to him. She simply stares, her small lips forming a perfect O of wonder, as if she had known all along this would happen but is still amazed to see it. "Daddy," she whispers, barely audible even in the stunned silence. William's gaze locks on his daughter. Something softens in his expression for just a moment. Relief, love, apology, before hardening again as he surveys the room. Phones appear in trembling hands as people start recording. Whispers build to a crescendo of confusion. A woman faints in the third row, slumping against her neighbor. Someone shouts, "Is this some kind of sick joke?" William ignores them all, walking straight down the aisle toward Emily. His gait is slightly uneven, favoring his right leg. When he reaches her, he kneels, bringing himself to her eye level, one hand gently closing, the note she still clutches. "I always keep my promises, Pumpkin," he says, his voice rough as if he hasn't used it in days. He stands, lifting Emily effortlessly into his arms. She wraps her small hands around his neck, burying her face in his shoulder, unconcerned about his soaking wet suit. William turns to face the congregation, Emily held securely against him. His gaze sweeps across the front row where board members and executives from Hawthorne Technologies sit in varying states of shock. He studies each face in turn, lingering on some longer than others. The distinguished man who had been delivering the eulogy approaches cautiously. "William," he says, voice unsteady, "we thought the car accident. They found your..." "Reports of my death," William says, his voice suddenly carrying to every corner of the cathedral, "have been greatly exaggerated." His eyes continue their calculated assessment of the crowd, stopping abruptly on a face in the middle rows. A flicker of something, recognition, anger, confirmation, crosses his features so quickly most miss it. Emily lifts her head from his shoulder and puts her small hand against his cheek as if checking he's real. William catches her hand and presses a kiss to her palm, but his eyes never leave the face in the crowd. He leans close to Emily's ear and mouths a single word. The cameras can't catch it, the mourners can't hear it, but Emily's eyes widen slightly. In response, "Listen." The tall woman who had been sitting with Emily approaches, hands fluttering uncertainly. "William, my God, what happened?" "The police said..." William cuts her off with a sharp look. "Not here, Rebecca." His voice is quiet, but commanding. "Take Emily to the car." Rebecca recoils slightly at his tone but reaches for Emily. The little girl clings tighter to her father. "No," Emily says simply. William's expression softens again as he looks at his daughter. "It's okay, Pumpkin. I'm not going anywhere again, but I need to talk to some people." Emily studies her father's face with an intensity beyond her years, then nods solemnly. She allows Rebecca to take her, but her eyes never leave William's face. As Rebecca carries Emily toward a side exit, William turns back to the congregation. The shock is wearing off, replaced by a buzz of questions, theories, accusations. Bored. Members are huddled together, whispering urgently. Several security guards who had been stationed discreetly around the cathedral are now moving closer, hands touching earpieces. William steps up to the podium, removing the massive portrait of himself with casual disregard. It crashes to the floor, the frame cracking. "I apologize for the unconventional entrance," he says, voice amplified by the microphone. But then, it's not every day a man gets to attend his own funeral. His gaze finds that same face in the crowd again, lingering for a beat too long. "Someone wanted me dead," he continues, each word precise and cold. "They nearly succeeded. I'm sure they're quite disappointed to see me standing here." He pauses, a humorless smile touching his lips. "Almost as disappointed as I am to see them sitting there." The room erupts in whispers. Phones continue recording as William Hawthorne, back from the dead, surveys the crowd with predatory focus. "This funeral is adjourned," he announces. "But don't worry, we'll all have plenty to discuss at the wake." As he turns to leave, he catches sight of the open coffin. With deliberate steps, he approaches it, looking down at whatever lies inside. His expression reveals nothing as he reaches in and removes something small that he slips into his pocket. Thunder cracks again as William Hawthorne walks out of his own funeral, leaving chaos in his wake. Sunlight filters through apple trees, casting dappled shadows on a checkered blanket spread across lush grass. A much younger William Hawthorne, hair still fully dark and face unlined, laughs as he leans back on his elbows. Beside him, a beautiful woman with Emily's dark curls holds up a glass of lemonade, sunlight turning the liquid to gold. "To your brilliant new algorithm," she toasts, her smile teasing but proud. Young William shakes his head. "To us, Charlotte, the algorithm is just code. You're the reason for everything." The idyllic scene dissolves into a sterile hospital room. Charlotte, pale but radiant, holds a newborn Emily wrapped in a pink blanket. William perches on the edge of the bed, one finger caught in the baby's surprisingly strong grip. "She's going to change everything," Charlotte whispers. "She already has," William responds, his voice thick with emotion. The hospital fades, replaced by a sleek modern kitchen. William, now older but still younger than present day, stands at the counter reviewing documents while speaking rapidly into a Bluetooth earpiece. "The security protocols aren't negotiable, Phil. If the board doesn't like it, they can find another CEO." He glances at his watch impatiently. Charlotte enters, Emily, now around 4, balanced on her hip. "You promised no work at home after 7, Charlotte reminds him gently. William's expression softens immediately. "Phil, we'll continue this tomorrow," he says, disconnecting the call and reaching for his daughter. Emily giggles as he swings her up into his arms. "Hiya, Daddy." "William," Charlotte says, her tone shifting to something more serious. "We need to talk about those threats." William's smile falters. "Not now," he says, eyes darting meaningfully toward Emily. The kitchen dissolves into a rain-slicked mountain road at night. Headlights illuminate sharp curves as Charlotte drives, her expression tense. William sits beside her, arguing quietly but intensely. "We need to go public with what we found," Charlotte insists. "People have a right to know how their data is being weaponized." "It's not that simple," William counters. "There are national security implications. We need to be strategic about this." "Strategic?" Charlotte's voice rises slightly. "Or are you just protecting the company's stock price?" Emily sleeps in the back seat, oblivious to the tension, a teddy bear clutched to her chest. William rubs his temples. "Charlotte, please, you know that's not fair. I'm trying to protect us. All of us. These people are dangerous." Charlotte's eyes flick to the rearview mirror, checking on Emily. "That's exactly why we can't—" She stops abruptly, her eyes widening as she looks in the mirror again. "William, there's a car behind us. It's been following since we left the restaurant." William turns to look through the rear window, his face illuminated by approaching headlights that are suddenly much too bright, much too close. "Charlotte, watch out." The scene shifts to the aftermath. Rain still falls, but now emergency lights flash red and blue across wet pavement. A luxury car lies crumpled at the bottom of a ravine, its front end wrapped around a massive tree trunk. Paramedics work frantically beside the vehicle. One shakes his head solemnly as a body bag is zipped closed. Nearby, a different team works on a second form laid out on the ground. William, unconscious, blood trickling from a head wound. Off to the side, protected under an umbrella held by a police officer, stands Emily. Her face is blank with shock, her teddy bear still clutched tightly to her chest. A black SUV pulls up, and Rebecca steps out, rushing to Emily. "Oh my God," she gasps, kneeling before the child. Emily, sweetheart. The officer bends down. Are you her aunt? She hasn't spoken a word. Rebecca nods, gathering Emily into her arms. I'm her godmother. Where's William? Where's her father? They're taking him to County General. It doesn't look good, ma'am. Rebecca's gaze moves to the body bag being loaded into an ambulance. And Charlotte? She asks, her voice breaking. The officer just shakes his head. The scene shifts to a hospital waiting room. Rebecca paces while Emily sits perfectly still in a too-large chair, her teddy bear now wearing a child's paper hospital bracelet that matches the one on Emily's own wrist. A doctor approaches, his expression grave. Miss Parker, about Mr. Hawthorne. Before he can continue, men in dark suits enter the waiting room. One flashes a badge too quickly to read. We need to speak with you about the accident. The doctor looks confused. I was just about to discuss Mr. Hawthorne's condition. That information is now classified, the man interrupts. National security matter. The scene fractures again, this time to a luxury home at night. Rebecca tucks Emily into bed, the child's eyes vacant, unfocused. Daddy promised he'd come back, Emily says suddenly, her first words since the accident. Rebecca smooths the hair from Emily's forehead. Sweetheart, sometimes people can't keep their promises, even when they want to very much. Emily shakes her head with surprising firmness. He promised. He never breaks promises. The bedroom fades to a sleek modern office where a group of executives sit around a conference table. At the head sits a man in his 50s, distinguished and commanding. Gentlemen, with William's tragic passing, the board has appointed me interim CEO. He stands buttoning his jacket. Hawthorne Technologies will continue William's legacy, though we will be making some strategic adjustments to his more idealistic policies. A younger executive speaks up. Sir, about the security protocols William was implementing. Those will be delayed indefinitely, the interim CEO cuts in smoothly. Too costly, too restrictive for our government contracts. The scene shifts back to the wreckage of the luxury car being winched up from the ravine in daylight. A figure in a black raincoat stands watching from a distance, face obscured. As the car emerges from the ravine, the figure turns away, revealing just a glimpse of a satisfied smile. The fractured memories culminate. In a dark, sterile room where William lies unconscious on a hospital bed, monitors beeping steadily. His head is bandaged, his body connected to various tubes and wires. A doctor checks his vitals, making notes on a clipboard. Any change? Asks a voice from the doorway. The doctor looks up, shaking his head. Still in the coma. It's remarkable. He survived it all. And the wife? DOA. Nothing anyone could have done. The unseen visitor steps fully into the room. It's the man with the badge from the hospital waiting room. Keep him sedated, he instructs. No visitors, no exceptions. As far as the world is concerned, William Hawthorne died in that crash with his wife. Sir, the doctor protests, medically speaking, there's no reason to… National security, doctor. That's all you need to know. As the men talk, neither notices William's eyelids flutter slightly. Though seemingly unconscious, a single tear escapes from the corner of his closed eye. The scene dissolves back to the present. William, standing in the cathedral, rain still dripping from his clothes, facing a room full of people who believed him dead. His hand slips into his pocket, touching whatever he removed from the coffin, his eyes cold with purpose. Emily watches from Rebecca's arms near the exit, her small face solemn but vindicated. Daddy kept his promise, she whispers. The Hawthorne mansion sprawls across manicured grounds, its modern glass and steel architecture gleaming despite the continuing rain. In the grand reception hall, William's funeral has transformed into a surreal wake, one with the deceased very much present and standing before the massive stone fireplace. William has changed into a dry suit, its cut impeccable, but nothing. can mask the tension in his shoulders or the vigilance in his gaze as he systematically watches everyone who approaches. Emily hasn't left his side, her small hand firmly gripping his, her patent leather shoes nearly touching his polished Oxfords. The little girl's eyes mirror her father's wariness, studying each face with an intensity that seems beyond her years. Rebecca hovers nearby, intercepting well-wishers and deflecting questions with practiced efficiency. William isn't taking questions. Right now, she repeats to a persistent reporter who somehow slipped past security. James Harrington, chairman of the board, approaches with a crystal tumbler of scotch. "William," he says, voice carefully modulated. "I still can't believe my eyes. Where have you been? What happened after the crash?" William's expression remains impassive. "That's a complicated story, James. One I'm still piecing together myself." His eyes flick to Emily, then back to Harrington. "Though I'm beginning to see the picture quite clearly." Harrington frowned slightly. "The authorities found your blood in the car. The medical examiner confirmed." "Did they?" William interrupts. "Or did someone confirm it for them?" He leans closer. "Tell me, James, did you identify my body personally?" Harrington's fingers tighten around his glass. "Of course not. The crash was catastrophic. They used dental records." He hesitates. "William, you can't possibly think—" "I think," William says, voice dropping to ensure only Harrington can hear, "that someone didn't want me to complete the security audit I started last month, the one that would reveal who's been selling our user data to unauthorized third parties." Color drains from Harrington's face. "That's absurd. We've all been devastated by what we thought was your death." Emily tugs at William's hand. "Daddy," she says just loud enough for Harrington to hear. He's lying. His eyes are doing the shifty thing. William places his free hand on Emily's shoulder, squeezing gently. "Out of the mouths of babes, James." Harrington forces a smile for Emily. "Children have such vivid imaginations." He focuses on William again. "We should talk privately. There have been significant decisions made in your absence." "I'm sure there have," William replies coldly. "We'll discuss them tomorrow. My office, 8 a.m. As Harrington retreats, William spots Marcus Chen, head of security, standing near the exit. Chen nods almost imperceptibly. William bends down to Emily's level. "Pumpkin, I need to speak with Mr. Chen for a moment. Stay with Rebecca, okay?" Emily's grip on his hand tightens. "No." William's expression softens. "Emily, I promise I'm not leaving. I'll be right over there where you can see. Me the whole time." The little girl's eyes fill with tears. "You promised before. Then you didn't come home for bedtime stories." Pain flashes across William's face. "I know, Pumpkin, and I'm so sorry. But this time, I'll be right where you can. See me. And when we're done here, we're going home together. No more separations." Emily studies his face intently, then nods. "Pinky, promise?" William locks his pinky with hers solemnly. "Pinky, promise." In a small study, Chen wastes no time. "The guard roster was changed the night before the accident. I never authorized it." William's jaw tightens. "Who did?" "The system shows my authorization code, but I was at my sister's wedding in Vancouver. Someone used my credentials." "And the crash site?" "By the time I got there, federal agents had taken over. They claimed it was a matter of national security." Chen hesitates. "William, they wouldn't let me see your body. They wouldn't let anyone identify you except through dental records." "Which can be falsified," William murmurs. "Exactly. When I pushed, I was removed from the site. The next day, my security clearance was temporarily suspended for protocol violations." William stops pacing. "Charlotte, was her body—" Chen's expression tightens with genuine grief. "Her injuries were catastrophic. There was no question about her identification." He pauses. I'm so sorry, William. Something breaks in William's carefully controlled facade. He turns away, one hand braced against the bookshelf, shoulders rigid with suppressed emotion. William's phone buzzes, interrupting. He glances at the screen, freezing at a photo of Emily, taken minutes ago in the cathedral, texted from an unknown number. Beneath it, she looks just like her mother. Would be a shame if she met the same fate. William's knuckles turn white around. The phone. We're leaving. Now. Rain lashes against the bulletproof glass of William's Range Rover as he navigates the winding road away from the mansion. Emily sits in her booster seat behind him, unusually quiet, her reflection in the rearview mirror solemn and watchful. William's knuckles are white on the steering wheel, his eyes constantly flicking between the road ahead and the mirrors, checking for headlights that linger too long behind them. Daddy? Emily's small voice breaks the tense silence. Are the bad people coming back? William's gaze meets hers in the mirror. What bad people, Pumpkin? Emily's fingers stroke the worn fur of her teddy bear, the same one from the night of the crash. The ones who hurt you and Mommy. The ones who made you go away. A muscle ticks in William's jaw. How do you know about bad people, Em? I heard Aunt Rebecca talking on the phone. She said bad people made you and Mommy crash. Emily's voice drops to a whisper. She said they might come for me, too. William's grip tightens on the wheel. No one is coming for you, Emily. I won't let them. Promise? I promise. His voice holds something darker than reassurance, a threat to anyone who would try to hurt his daughter. The traffic light ahead turns red. William slows, eyes scanning the intersection, body tense. Emily's small hand grips the door handle, her posture mirroring her father's vigilance. As they navigate the empty streets, William's phone rings through the car's speaker system. Chen's name flashes on the display. William. Chen's voice is tense. The security logs from the night before. The accident, they've been wiped, completely. Not just altered, but erased and replaced with manufactured data. William absorbs this, eyes never leaving the road. Can you recover anything? Maybe fragments from the backup servers. But William, this is a sophisticated job. Military grade. Whoever did this had serious resources and inside access. Keep digging, William instructs. And Marcus, trust no one. Not until we know how deep this goes. William makes a sudden turn, deviating from the direct route home, then takes a series of turns through industrial areas and back to residential streets. Daddy, Emily says suddenly, there's a car following us. William's eyes dart to the rearview mirror. Headlights shine through the rain about 100 yards back, headlights that have indeed made every turn they have. Good eyes, Pumpkin, he says, voice deliberately calm as adrenaline floods his system. Let's see if they're really following us. He makes a sudden right turn, then another quick left. The headlights disappear briefly, then reappear, still behind them. Hold on, Emily, William warns just before executing a perfect J-turn, reversing their direction in seconds. Now, facing the pursuing vehicle, William accelerates directly toward it. The other driver, clearly not expecting this aggressive maneuver, swerves hard to avoid collision. Their vehicle, a black SUV with tinted windows, mounts the curb briefly, before regaining the road. In that moment of confusion, William makes a sharp turn down an alley, emerging onto a parallel street and accelerating away. The headlights don't immediately reappear. They finally approach the high walls surrounding the Hawthorne estate. As they turn into the long driveway, William slams on the brakes. A black SUV, identical to the one that had been following them, is parked directly in front of the garage doors, blocking their entry. William reaches slowly into his jacket, withdrawing a small handgun. Emily, get down on the floor of the car. Can you do that for me? Emily nods once, sliding down into the footwell, teddy bear clutched to her chest. The SUV's lights suddenly flash once, twice, 3 times in a specific pattern. William freezes, recognition dawning. He responds with his own headlight sequence. The driver's door of the SUV opens. A woman steps out into the rain, hands clearly visible. Her face is obscured by darkness, but something in her posture is hauntingly familiar. "Daddy? Who is that lady?" William can't answer. He slowly opens his door and steps out, gun still in hand but pointed downward. "William," the woman calls, her voice nearly lost in the storm. She moves into the beam of the headlights, pushing back. Her hood. William's gun hand drops to his side in shock. "Charlotte!" The security system beeps as William enters the override code. The front door unlocks with a pneumatic hiss, revealing a sleek interior designed for both luxury and security. William enters first, Emily held protectively in one arm, his other hand near his concealed weapon. The woman, who cannot possibly be Charlotte, follows at a careful distance, removing her rain-soaked coat. In the light of the foyer, the resemblance is undeniable yet imperfect. She has Charlotte's high cheekbones, the same graceful neck, but there are differences too, subtle variations in the shape of her eyes, the line of her jaw. "Daddy," Emily whispers loudly. "She looks like Mommy." "I know, Pumpkin," William responds, not taking his eyes off the woman. But she's not. The woman smiles sadly. "No, I'm not. My name is Catherine Reeves. I'm Charlotte's twin sister." William's expression hardens. Charlotte was an only child. Catherine steps forward, then stops, when William tenses. That's what she believed. What you both were meant to believe. She gestures to the living room. "May I sit?" This explanation isn't simple. After Emily reluctantly goes upstairs to bed with a pinky promise from William that he'll come up for a key. Story time, William activates the house's security lockdown. Metal shutters silently lower over all windows. "You have exactly 3 minutes to explain who you are and why you've come here looking like my dead wife," William says, voice cold. Catherine meets his gaze steadily. "The authorities are part of the problem. The same people who faked your death are embedded within federal agencies." She withdraws a small USB drive. "Charlotte sent this to me 3 days before the crash. She told me that if anything happened to her, I was to find a way to get it to you, the real you, not the body they claimed was you. If you're Charlotte's sister, where have you been for the last 6 years? Why haven't I ever heard of you? Because Charlotte herself didn't know I existed until 14 months ago. We were separated at birth. I was adopted by family in England, never knowing I had a twin. Charlotte was raised here believing she was an only child. And you expect me to believe you found each other by coincidence just before all this happened? Not coincidence," Catherine counters. "The Chimera Project." The name hits William like a physical blow. He sinks onto the edge of the sofa, recognition and horror dawning in his eyes. "Charlotte was investigating the genetic component," Catherine continues. "She found my name in the research files. My DNA sequence was an exact match to hers." William stares at her. "The Chimera Project was terminated 20 years ago. The records were sealed. Not all of them. Charlotte found a way in, and what she discovered frightened her enough that she reached out to me." She leans forward. "William, the project never ended. It just went underground. They've been continuing the experiments all this time. Why come to me now? Why not when Charlotte first died? I tried. The night of the crash, I flew in from London. But when I arrived, I discovered the man claiming to be you was already dead." She meets his gaze unflinchingly. "Someone was trying to erase both of you. I had to go underground until I could figure out who was behind it." "How do I know you're not part of this?" William asks, turning to face her. Catherine reaches into her shirt and withdraws a locket on a fine gold chain. She opens it and holds it out to William. Inside is a tiny photo, 2 identical baby girls, no more than a few hours old. Charlotte had the matching half of this, she says quietly. She was wearing it the night of the crash. William takes the locket, fingers tracing the small photograph. I buried her with it, he says, voice rough with emotion. If what you're saying is true, my entire company has been compromised. My board, my security team, possibly even my closest advisors. Yes, Catherine says simply. William's gaze drifts to a framed photograph on the mantel. Charlotte holding a newborn Emily, her smile radiant. For a moment, his carefully maintained control cracks, revealing the devastating loss beneath. She was trying to protect us, he says softly. All of her research, her insistence on the new security protocols, she knew something was wrong. She knew they'd never stop coming. Catherine agrees. The only way to protect Emily was to expose the whole operation. William's attention snaps back at the mention of his daughter. Emily, he repeats. How does she fit into this? Catherine hesitates. The Chimera project was focused on genetic duplications, twins separated at birth. They were studying how genetics influence behavior and aptitude when separated from environmental factors. I know what the project was. William interrupts impatiently. What does it have to do with my daughter? When Charlotte accessed the files, she discovered they had preserved genetic material from all participants, including mine and Charlotte's. William goes very still. Are you suggesting Emily's DNA shows markers that should be impossible? Catherine confirms. Genetic sequences that could only come from both Charlotte and me. William shakes his head in denial. That's not possible. Emily is our daughter. Charlotte carried her for 9 months. Yes, Emily is your daughter and Charlotte's. Catherine agrees. But she also carries genetic material that could only have been artificially introduced. Material from my DNA. Why? William demands. Control, Catherine says simply. The perfect leverage over both you and Charlotte. A child genetically linked to 3 people, 2 of whom were subjects in a classified government experiment. She leans forward. Think about it, William. How convenient was it that, after years of fertility struggles, Charlotte suddenly conceived, right when Hawthorne Technologies won its first major defense contract. William sinks back onto the sofa. They've been planning this for years, he whispers, using my own child as insurance. As long as they had access to Emily, they had control over both you and Charlotte. William's expression transforms from shock to rage. And now they've lost that control, because they believe I'm dead. Exactly. But that advantage won't last long. Now that you've revealed yourself at the funeral, they'll be coming. For both of you. Upstairs, Emily calls out, Daddy, I'm ready for my story. William retrieves the USB drive from the table, slipping it into his pocket. We'll continue this discussion after she's asleep. Upstairs, William tucks Emily into bed. Her room a sanctuary of childhood innocence, stuffed animals and fairy lights that glow softly in the darkness. Tell me a story about Mommy, Emily requests. William's breath catches, but he nods. Your Mom was the smartest, bravest person I ever knew, he begins, voice gentle. She believed in always doing the right thing, even when it was difficult. As Emily drifts toward sleep, William notices her teddy bear, the same one from the night of the crash, the one Charlotte had given her. He examines it carefully, discovering a tiny, almost invisible stitching along the bear's back. With surgical precision, William locates the hidden seam and carefully opens it. Inside, nestled against the stuffing, is a small flash drive wrapped in tissue paper. William stares at the tiny device, feeling Charlotte's presence as strongly as if she were standing beside him. She had known. Somehow, she had anticipated everything, planned for the worst, and left this final message where only he would find it, with their daughter. In the dim glow of Emily's nightlight, William sees his wife's reflection in his sleeping daughter's face and nearly breaks. The grief he's held at bay crashes through his carefully constructed barriers, threatening to drown him. But as the storm of emotion crests, it leaves behind something harder, colder, more determined. William carefully pockets the flash drive. "I'll keep you safe," he whispers to his sleeping daughter. "I promise." The digital clock on William's dashboard reads 11:47 p.m. as his Range Rover pulls into the underground parking garage of Hawthorne Technologies headquarters. The towering skyscraper, normally bustling with thousands of employees, stands eerily quiet at this hour, its glass facade gleaming in the moonlight that has finally broken through the clouds. Emily sleeps in the back seat, her teddy bear clutched to her chest. William glances at her in the rearview mirror, his expression softening momentarily before hardening with resolve. Catherine sits in the passenger seat, tension evident in the set of her shoulders. "This is reckless," she whispers, careful not to wake Emily. "If they're monitoring the building—" "They are," William interrupts, "but they'll be expecting me to come during business hours, when I'd have easier access but more witnesses. Not at midnight with a skeleton. Security crew." He pulls into his reserved parking space and kills the engine. "Besides, they know I'm alive now. Our best advantage is moving faster than they expect." William exits the vehicle and gently lifts Emily from her seat. She stirs but doesn't wake, instinctively wrapping her small arms around his neck. Catherine follows, carrying a small backpack containing both flash drives. They approach a nondescript service entrance. William presses his palm against a biometric scanner, holding his breath. If they've already locked him out of the system... The panel glows green. The door unlocks with a soft click. "They haven't had time to purge me from all systems," William explains, relief evident in his voice. "Or they're waiting to see what I do first." They enter a service corridor lit by dim emergency lighting. William navigates the maze of hallways with practiced ease, avoiding the main security cameras. Emily stirs against his shoulder. "Daddy? Where are we?" she murmurs sleepily. "We're at Daddy's office, Pumpkin. Remember I told you we needed to get something important?" Emily nods against his neck, then notices Catherine and tenses slightly. "Is she helping us?" William hesitates. "I think so." They reach a freight elevator that requires both a keycard and a code. William shifts Emily's weight and enters a sequence on the keypad. The elevator doors open silently. "This goes directly to the executive floor," he explains to Catherine. "It bypasses the main security checkpoints." The elevator ascends swiftly to the 47th floor. When the doors open, they step into a darkened executive suite. Floor-to-ceiling windows offer a panoramic view of the city below, lights twinkling like earth-bound stars. William sets Emily down on a plush sofa in his office. "I need you to be very brave and very quiet, okay? Like we're playing hide-and-seek." Emily nods solemnly. "Are the bad people here?" William brushes her hair from her forehead. "I don't know, but we need to be careful just in case." He turns to Catherine. "I need to access the secure server room. It's down the hall, behind a series of security doors." "How long will it take?" she asks, glancing nervously at Emily. 10 minutes to bypass the security. Another 5 to download what we need." He retrieves a small tablet from his desk drawer and powers it on. "This contains a master override for the building's security systems. It won't trigger any alarms when I access the servers." Catherine hesitates. "And what if it does?" William opens another drawer and removes a small handgun, checking it before tucking it into his waistband. "Then we leave, immediately." He kneels before Emily. "Pumpkin, I need to step out for a few minutes. Catherine will stay with you. If she tells you to hide, you hide, okay?" Emily glances between her father and Catherine, clearly uncertain. "Remember, how you hid during our game last weekend. In the secret spot behind the bookcase? Emily nods. There's a spot just like that here. William moves to his bookcase and presses a concealed button. A section slides open, revealing a small panic room. If you need to hide, this is where you go. He turns to Catherine. The room is reinforced. Steel walls, independent air supply. If anything happens, get her in there and lock it. It can only be opened from the inside. Catherine nods. Be careful, William. William strokes Emily's cheek once more, then heads for the door. 10 minutes, 15 at most. The door closes behind him with a soft click. Emily stares at Catherine, clutching her teddy bear tighter. My mommy had a necklace like yours, she says suddenly. Catherine touches the locket at her throat. Yes, she did. We had matching ones. Did. You know my mommy for a long time? Catherine smiles sadly. Not as long as I would have liked. Outside in the hallway, William approaches the first security door leading to the server room. He places his tablet against the electronic lock, running a decryption program. The tablet screen flashes with lines of code. Access granted. William pushes through the door into a small antechamber. 2 more security doors lie ahead, each requiring different credentials. He moves quickly, the tablet making short work of the electronic locks. At the final door, William hesitates. If someone has changed the protocols, this could trigger the alarm system. He takes a deep breath and runs the override. For several tense seconds, nothing happens. Then, with a soft hiss, the door unlocks. The server room hums with the sound of cooling fans and blinking lights. Row after row of sleek black. Servers contain the lifeblood of Hawthorne Technologies, and somewhere among them, the truth. About who tried to kill him. William plugs his tablet into the main console and begins typing rapidly. Lines of code flash across the screen as he bypasses firewalls and security protocols. Back in the office, Emily has moved to the window, peering out at the city below. Look at all the lights, she says wonderingly. Catherine joins her, keeping a cautious eye on the door. Beautiful, isn't it? Emily presses a small hand against the glass. Daddy and I used to count them sometimes. He said, each light was a person's story. A noise in the outer office makes Catherine stiffen. She pulls Emily away from the window. Emily, I think we need to play the hiding game now. In the server room, William downloads the secured files onto his tablet. A progress bar inches forward. 67%. 68%, his phone vibrates with a text from Catherine, someone in outer office. William's heart races. He glances at the progress bar. 74%. Too slow. He pulls a small device from his pocket, a dead man switch connected to the building's emergency systems. If activated, it will trigger a localized security alert that should buy them time. The progress bar crawls forward. 83%. 84%. Another text. Multiple footsteps. Hiding Emily now. William's finger hovers over the switch. 92%. 93%. In the executive office, Catherine guides Emily toward the panic room. Remember what your daddy said. This is like your special hiding. Spot at home. Emily hesitates. What about you? I'll be right behind you, Catherine promises. The office door handle turns slowly. Catherine pushes Emily into the panic room and reaches for the interior panel to seal it. Wait, Emily whispers urgently. She holds out her teddy bear. Take Bobo. He'll protect you. Catherine accepts the worn bear, tears in her eyes. I'll keep him safe. Now be very quiet. The panic room seals just as the office door swings open. In the server room, the download completes. 100%. William disconnects the tablet and tucks it securely inside his jacket. He moves swiftly back through the security doors, resealing each. Behind him, as he approaches his office, he hears voices. Drawing his gun, he edges closer, listening. "I know Hawthorne was here," a man's voice says. "The biometric scan at the service entrance doesn't lie." "Sir, there's no one in the executive suites," another voice responds. "We've checked every room. Check again and call for backup." William recognizes the first voice, James Harrington, chairman of the board, the same man who delivered his eulogy hours earlier. Staying in the shadows, William peers around the corner. Harrington stands with 2 security guards in the outer office, his back to William's private office where Emily is hidden. William weighs his options. He could confront them directly, but that would put Emily at risk. He needs a distraction. He presses the dead man switch. Instantly, alarms blare throughout the floor. Emergency lights pulse red, and automatic doors begin to seal. "What the hell?" Harrington shouts over the noise. "Override it." The security guards rush to a control panel. In the confusion, William slips unseen into his private office. Catherine stands in the center of the room, Emily's teddy bear in one hand, a letter opener in the other. Her eyes widen at the sight of William. "Emily?" he mouths. Catherine gestures toward the panic room, relief evident on her face. William motions for her to follow him toward a concealed exit at the back of his office, an escape route installed after previous security threats. As alarms continue to wail, they slip through the hidden door just as Harrington and the guards burst into the private office. The passage leads to a service elevator that descends directly to the parking garage. William and Catherine ride in tense silence, the teddy bear clutched between them. "Emily gave you Bobo," William observes quietly. Catherine nods, blinking back tears. "She said he would protect me." She was right. The elevator doors open, and they hurry to the Range Rover. William unlocks the panic room remotely from his phone, and moments later, Emily rushes into his arms. "You did it, Pumpkin," he whispers fiercely, holding her tight. "You were so brave." They drive away from Hawthorne. Technologies, the tablet securely tucked in William's jacket. In the back seat, Emily reclaims her teddy bear from Catherine, whispering something in the worn toy's ear before falling asleep. Morning light filters through reinforced windows of a secluded lakeside cabin. William sits at a rustic wooden table, his tablet connected to 3 separate monitors as he analyzes the data recovered from Hawthorne Technologies. Catherine enters from the small kitchen, carrying 2 mugs of coffee. "Anything?" she asks, setting one before him. William nods grimly. "Everything. The security logs, deleted emails, financial transfers." He turns one of the monitors toward her. "Harrington was authorizing backdoor access to our systems for a government project called Oracle. But he was doing more than that. He was selling user data to third parties. When Charlotte discovered it, she became a liability," Catherine finishes, "and so did I." William pulls up another file. "This is the medical report from the crash. The DNA profile they used to identify my body came from a tissue sample taken during my last physical, which Harrington insisted I take for the company's new health insurance policy." Catherine studies the screen. "They had your DNA on file. All they needed was a body of similar build, and dental records that could be altered." William runs a hand through his hair. "What I still don't understand is why fake my death. Why not just kill me like they did Charlotte?" "Because of Emily," Catherine says softly. "They couldn't risk anything happening to her unique genetic profile, and they knew you had fail-safes in place. If you died under suspicious circumstances, certain information would be automatically released." William nods slowly. "So they planned to keep me sedated, declared dead to the world, while they consolidated control of the company." He pulls up another file. "And look who was appointed. Executor of my estate and Emily's guardian in the event of my death." The screen shows legal documents with James Harrington's signature. They would have had complete control of Hawthorne Technologies, of the Oracle project, and of Emily. William's voice breaks slightly. My daughter would have become their permanent insurance policy. The sound of small feet interrupts them as Emily emerges from the bedroom, her teddy bear dragging behind her. Daddy, are we still hiding? William lifts her onto his lap. Yes, Pumpkin. Just for a little while longer. Emily notices the images on the screens. Is that the bad man? The one with the shifty eyes? William follows her gaze to Harrington's photograph. Yes, but he can't hurt us anymore. Because you're smarter than him, Emily says with absolute certainty. No, William corrects gently. Because we're braver than him. You, me, and even Catherine. Emily looks at Catherine thoughtfully. Are you going to stay with us now, since you look like Mommy? Catherine exchanges a glance with William. I don't. No, sweetheart. That's up to your daddy. William studies Catherine, still weighing trust against caution. Catherine has helped us a great deal, but we still have more to figure out. He turns back to the computers, pulling up news feeds. Headlines flash across the screen. Tech billionaire William Hawthorne, alive. Federal investigation launched into Hawthorne Technologies. Chairman James Harrington arrested on multiple charges. William pushes back from the desk. It's working. The information we released has started the avalanche. Catherine leans closer to read. They're calling it one of the biggest corporate espionage cases in history. But there's nothing about the Chimera Project or Emily. And there won't be, William says firmly. That information stays buried. I've made sure of it. He opens a final file on the tablet, the contents of Charlotte's flash drive. Her face appears on screen in a pre-recorded message. William, if you're watching this, then my fears were justified. I've discovered something about the people we've been working with, about their interest in our company, and in our daughter. William pauses the video, looking at Emily. Pumpkin, why don't you go watch the deer by the lake? I think I saw some fawns earlier. Once Emily is safely out of earshot on the cabin's porch, William resumes the video. The Chimera Project wasn't just about twins, Charlotte continues. It was about creating genetic markers that could be tracked, influenced, controlled. Our daughter carries these markers, William. That's why they'll never let her go. That's why they'll never let us go. Tears stream down Charlotte's face in the recording. I've included everything I've uncovered. The names, the organizations involved, all of it. Use it to protect our daughter. And, William, find Catherine. She's the only other person who can truly understand what they've done, what they're still doing. The video ends. William and Catherine sit in silence, the weight of Charlotte's final message hanging between them. What now? Catherine finally asks. William looks out the window to where Emily sits on the porch, pointing excitedly at something in the distance. Now we finish what Charlotte started. We use the evidence to dismantle their operation piece by piece. They'll come for us, Catherine warns. For Emily. Let them try. William's voice is steel. I've already transferred controlling interest in Hawthorne Technologies to a blind trust. The board has been dissolved, and I've released enough evidence to keep federal investigators busy for years. He closes the laptop. But more importantly, I've made sure Emily's genetic information is protected. No one will ever use her as leverage again. Catherine hesitates. And me? Where do I fit in all this? William studies her face, so like Charlotte's, yet distinctly her own. That depends. Charlotte trusted you. Emily seems to trust you, but I'm still not sure. Fair enough, Catherine says. Trust takes time. Outside, Emily's excited voice calls, Daddy, Catherine, come see the deer. They join her on the porch. Emily stands between them, one small hand in each of theirs as they watch a doe and two fawns at the edge of the forest. They're a family, Emily observes. William's gaze meets Catherine's over Emily's head. Something unspoken passes between them. Not trust yet, but possibility. Police sirens wail in the distance, drawing closer. William tenses, but Catherine places a reassuring hand on his arm. "It's okay," she says, nodding toward the road where several official vehicles appear. "That's Agent Mercer. He's with us." A tall man in a dark suit emerges from the lead car. He approaches the cabin holding up a badge. "Mr. Hawthorne, I'm Agent David Mercer, FBI." He glances at Catherine. "I see Ms. Reeves found you." "Just in time," William acknowledges. Mercer's expression is grim but satisfied. "We've arrested Harrington and 3 other board members. The evidence you provided was comprehensive." "And the others?" Catherine asks. "The ones behind the Chimera project?" "We're working on it," Mercer says. "But with your testimony and the evidence from both flash drives, we'll get them all." William looks down at Emily, who watches the exchange with curious eyes. He makes a decision. "Emily, this is Mr. Mercer. He's going to help us make sure the bad people never bother us again." Emily studies Mercer with the same intense scrutiny she'd shown Harrington. After a moment, she nods. His eyes aren't shifty. Mercer smiles despite himself. High praise. William lifts Emily into his arms. "What happens now?" "Protective custody," Mercer explains, "for all 3 of you, until we've rounded up everyone involved." William looks at Catherine. "All 3 of us?" She meets his gaze steadily. "If that's what you want." William thinks of Charlotte's message, of Emily's easy acceptance of Catherine, of the complex web of lies and truth they've navigated together. "Yes," he decides, "all 3 of us." As the sun rises higher over the lake, golden light floods the porch. William holds Emily close, her teddy bear squished between them. "No one will ever threaten our family again," he whispers, the promise as, much to Charlotte's memory as to the daughter in his arms, Emily looks up at him with complete faith. "I know, Daddy. You always keep your promises."